The Celtics and Bucks split their 4 matchups this season. The Celtics won the first 2 matchups back in November and early December, while the Bucks won on Christmas Day, and then again in April against a very short-handed C's team. Here's Jeff Goodman's read on the situation, and I think he has a consensus opinion. This is from last night.
Khris Middleton. That's how I assess it. If he doesn't play or he misses a significant portion of this series with the injury, the Bucks are in trouble. You know, he's kind of their Robin, right? You know, they've got other good players, but again, when you take away a guy like Khris Middleton, an all-star caliber player, I think it'll be tough for the Bucks to win this series. So they need him to be healthy and be able to play the majority of the series, or else I think the Celtics win this one, and I'm not even sure how close it'll be.
Okay, let's roll. It's presented by Town Fair Tire. That is a night after Chris Mannix said roughly the same thing. Maybe a 5-game series without Khris Middleton. It looks like Khris Middleton is not going to play in this series. We'll check in with Mike in 1 second. Chris Gasper, the Boston Globe, joining us. Are people underselling the Bucks a little bit to say no Khris Middleton? It's going to be a quick series?
I think they are underselling them a little bit, Felge. But the reality is, you know, I heard what Goodman said. He said he's Robin against the Celtics. Excuse me. He's Batman. I mean, he lights them up. So the way he plays against the Celtics, he becomes a big-time shot maker. I've said he's sort of like the latter-day Andrew Toney. Old-time Celtics fans remember him for the 76ers, the Boston Strangler. He's one of those guys. So if you take Middleton away, I think that's a big, big miss. Now, Drew Holiday's probably not getting as much credit as he should, but the way the Celtics are playing, and if you take away a guy who makes big-time shots against them, I could see where people are saying it's a 5-game series. But I think the schedule makers are helping the Bucks with this year.
Okay, we'll get to the schedule here coming up. Mike Holley out in Vegas, if he's joining us. Mike, so you still think Celtics in 7? You still don't think that even without Middleton, the Bucks are a rollover?
Hey, no, I love the Bucks. Felge, I've been telling you this. I know you had the season tickets. You got the Sidney Moncrief jersey, but I am a big fan of the Milwaukee Bucks. Why are we talking about Batman and Robin, Chris Gasper? Let's talk about Iron Man, Superman,
sure,
Thanos for that matter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Giannis. Like, Giannis is only, I think people just don't understand the greatness of Giannis, that the two-way force that he is. That's why he's by far the best player in basketball, because nobody else in the top 5, maybe short of Jason Tatum, can do what he does at both ends of the floor. You know, he's only 2 years older than Jaylen Brown. So at 27, he's a 2-time MVP. He's a Finals MVP. He's a 5-time first-team All-NBA player. I mean, this guy is a wrecking crew all by himself. So I think that the presence of Giannis in his prime is going to make it extremely difficult for the Celtics to just breeze by the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, they can beat them, but it's not going to be easy by any stretch.
Yeah, and to me, Middleton has been great against the Celtics. There's no doubt about it. But he ain't Pippen. He's not. I mean, we're not talking about. I hate the Batman and Robin analogy. It's just so. It's just so.
You don't know anything about pop culture. That's
weak.
But
I mean, whatever. I mean, they don't play a 2-man game. They have 4 guys lined up across the 3-point line. I mean, they were top 5 in the NBA in 3-point attempts and top 5 in the NBA this year in 3-point percentage. So they all shoot. They all shoot the 3. And I know this is kind of a master of the obvious statement, but it really applies to the Bucks. If they're making their 3s, they can beat the Celtics without Khris Middleton. They can.
So my issue, I guess, with what you're saying, Felge, is this. You know, Middleton comes out, you put Bobby Portis in. You look at that from the defensive side for the Bucks. You know, you're bigger and you're not as mobile. And so you're not just losing Middleton's offense. You're losing another wing guy who maybe can help you defend. And the other thing I'd say to what Holley said, yeah, Giannis is a great player. We've all seen it. I mean, he earned that nickname, the Greek Freak. He is a freak of nature. However, against the Celtics, we've seen this. When the game is on the line, who's the guy who has an easier time creating and generating his own shot? It's Middleton. Who's the guy that can shoot it from the logo? It's Middleton. And you look at the way that the Celtics played against Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I would argue that Giannis is an easier player to defend than those guys because his offensive game is more limited. It's a more limited offensive game, and it's more reliant upon getting into the paint. So I have all the respect in the world for Giannis. It's just like styles make fights.
Doesn't sound like it.
Styles make fights, though, and in this fight, Middleton is a guy who really, I think, helps Giannis and the Bucks a lot.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I want you to do this, Chris Gasper. 2 things. One, yes. I need you to sign on to the promise, sign a petition. I've got this petition. I'm not going to complain about the at least 12 free throw attempts that Giannis is going to get throughout this series per game.
I will sign that.
It may be more.
That's not in my DNA to begin with. That's for green teamers.
Right. Yeah, and I know maybe others at NBC Sports Boston need to sign this petition with me. But the other thing is, I want you to figure this out. Tell me if you can think of anybody, any NBA champion in his prime who gets his first championship, and then it's just kind of brushed aside in the second round. It rarely happens, very rarely. So, you can say that Giannis is easy to defend, but most of the time, NBA history says those guys get the first one, and then another one usually follows, if not three more.
Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, I was just going to guess Dirk. Let's get the schedule up here, Robbie. People need to know when these games are. And Khris thinks
when Khris Middleton's coming back.
Well, there's really...
He wasn't in his prime, though, when he won. He wasn't in his prime when he won it. He was like 30-something.
Okay, here's the schedule. Mike, we got games 1 and 2. Okay, Sunday, Tuesday, fine. Look at game 3. There is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's a 3. I had to take off my shoes. There's a 3-day gap until they get to game 3 in Milwaukee on Saturday. Then it goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. But that big gap there, they're putting it into the second week. I still don't think Middleton's going to be ready, Khris, but you think this favors the Bucks.
Well, clearly, look, whether he's ready or not, right, this gives him a greater chance of being ready. I mean, that is a huge gap between games when you're talking about Sunday, Tuesday, and then 3 more days. So, look, even if he can just play sort of 10 or 15 minutes and give them a little bit of extra shooting, I don't know how bad that injury is. Obviously, it's an MCL. We'll see. I'm not a doctor. But certainly it seems like the NBA is at least attempting to input into the schedule some sort of leeway for him to possibly return and make this series at least a little more even. Because here's the other thing about the Celtics you got to feel great about, right? We can look around the entire Eastern Conference. All these other teams have some sort of injury situation they're dealing with. Celtics got Robert Williams back, and he said today that he feels great.
All right, Mike, who has more pressure on him in this series? Because I think it's the Celtics. They're the favorite now.
Yeah, I think the Celtics, too, because of what we've just been talking about, the injury to Khris Middleton. I mean, we're looking at it and saying, hey, the Bucks have more. But the fact is, you're missing one of your key players, and the Celtics are completely healthy. I mean, everybody else in the NBA has had a significant injury problem, short of Golden State in the playoffs. But Phoenix is dealing with injury issues. Milwaukee's dealing with injury issues. Miami last night in a closeout game, missing 2 all-star players in Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry. So with the Celtics with home court advantage, 2 guys, we expect now our expectations are raised. It's not like, hey, cute little story. It's, hey, you're the favorite. You should win this thing.
All right, I agree.
No more enjoy the ride.
That's right. Nope, nothing to it. We're not going to enjoy this.
Right.
This is going to hurt. All right, the Celtics host the Bucks in Game 1 on Sunday. Our coverage starts at noon with Amina Smith, Brian Scalabrine, Abby Chin, and Chris Forsberg. Celtics playoff coverage is brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and Arbella Insurance.